4:42 a.m. The sky above Carsden Ridge was the color of wet ash, heavy and unmoving, as if even dawn refused to rise over the battlefield. In the shallow trenches carved into the rock, 147 men of the Helian 3rd Infantry tightened their grips on rifles slick with sweat. No wind moved, no birds cried. The world held its breath. A whistle hung from Captain Reed Varon's lips, trembling not from the cool air but from the weight of what he'd been ordered to do. 60 meters, Lieutenant Mora whispered beside him. 60 meters of open stone. We'll be dead before we reach the halfway boulder. Orders are orders, Varon answered, though his voice lacked conviction. Because he had walked the ridge the night before. He had seen the narrow saddle, 30 meters wide, connecting their shattered forward trench to the fortified Orath Dominion position on the opposite rise. He had seen the Maxim-pattern guns positioned like steel beasts, their barrels already angled toward the exact path his men would have to run. And he had known, with a cold, absolute certainty, that this attack was not a battle. It was an offering. A feeding. Someone miles behind the front line had decided these men were worth less than the time needed to rethink a plan. Reed's whistle lowered slightly. Just stay close, run fast. If we take their first trench... Mora let out a humorless breath. Captain, they built those trenches out of stone and steel plating. You know that. Reed didn't reply, because everything she said was true. Far behind them, in a dugout lined with sandbags and maps, Brigadier Eldon Stroud stared at his pocket watch with hollow eyes. He knew the truth too, but higher command, General Kalen Thorne, had labeled the attack critical distraction, a feint to draw Dominion troops away from the real offensive happening several kilometers north. Just 8 minutes, he murmured. They only have to hold for 8 minutes. But 8 minutes on Carsden Ridge was a lifetime, and the last lifetime many of those boys would ever have. 4:45 a.m. The countdown. The artillery bombardment began like a thunderclap. Shells screamed over the ridge and slammed into the Dominion lines in a rolling wave. Dust plumed upward, shards of rock ricocheted across the saddle. The noise was so immense that it vibrated the ribs. 7 minutes, Reed murmured. Stay ready. But Mora frowned. My watch says 4:45. The artillery bombardment shouldn't start for another 2 minutes. Reed stiffened. Then whose timepiece is wrong? They both knew the answer. Probably everyone's. The Helian commanders had synchronized watches hours earlier, but poorly. Some were off by seconds, some by almost 2 minutes, and the entire plan depended on perfect timing. If the artillery stopped early, if the Dominion machine gunners surfaced too soon, if the whistles blew while the gunners were already alert. Reed felt the dread twist inside his ribs. Men, not numbers. In the trench, the soldiers waited. Jarrell Thane, age 19, hugged his rifle to his chest. Captain, you think we might surprise them? Reed forced a smile. We might. It was a lie. Jarrell's hands shook anyway. Beside him, Corporal Aaron Holt, father of 2, muttered a prayer under his breath. Private Soren Vale, the company joker, tapped his helmet. If I make it to the first rock, drinks are on me back home. Mora managed to smile. If you make it to the first rock, I'll buy the second round. The trench filled with weak laughter, the kind people use when the truth is too sharp to touch. These were not professional soldiers. Most were farmers, miners, clerks, men who believed the recruitment posters promising glory and a short war. They had no idea they were minutes away from becoming part of a story no one would want to tell. The silence before slaughter. At 4:52 a.m., the artillery stopped. Not slowed, not softened, stopped. And with that sudden, terrifying silence, Reed's stomach dropped. "They're alive," Mora whispered. "Those guns didn't destroy anything. They just woke them up." Reed raised the whistle to his lips. Across the saddle, like ghosts emerging from smoke, Dominion helmets rose behind stone parapets. Mora gasped. "They're already in position." Reed's heart pounded against his ribs. But the situation behind him was worse. The officers in the rear dugout expected a charge at exactly 4:53, and it was 4:52:40. He had less than 20 seconds. The whistle shrieked, not because Reed believed in the attack, but because if he didn't blow it, someone else would, and the confusion would kill even more men. "Go! Go! Go!" 147 Helian infantry surged upward, boots scraping dirt, bodies climbing onto the exposed ridge. For 3 heartbeats, there was no sound but running feet. Then the Dominion machine guns opened fire. The sound was not like thunder. It was like paper tearing, rapid, endless, impossible. Men dropped instantly. Some fell backwards into the trench. Some pitched forward onto the stone. Some spun as bullets tore through them. Jarrell, who had asked about surprising the enemy, was hit twice before he took 5 steps. Soren Vale, the man promising drinks, was cut down before his joke reached the air. Aaron Holt fell silently, one hand still clutching the wooden charm his daughter had carved. Reed saw all of it while still in the trench. His voice cracked as he screamed, "Down! Down! Take cover!" But there was no cover. There never had been. It took 31 seconds for the first wave to be destroyed. Not defeated, destroyed. When the firing finally slowed, the saddle was covered in stillness and bodies. Reed collapsed against the trench wall, shaking hard enough that he nearly dropped his rifle. Mora stared at the field with wide, hollow eyes. "Captain, we can't send another wave. They're not men anymore. They're targets." Reed nodded. He believed her. He agreed. But behind them, a distant voice rang out. "Second wave! Ready yourselves!" The wind finally rose, not a comforting breeze, but a cold, slicing draft that carried the metallic smell of blood across the ridge. Reed Verone felt it hit his face as he stared at the field where his first wave had vanished. Strewn bodies, broken rifles, stone darkened with things no soldier should ever have to see. Lieutenant Mora wiped dust from her cheeks, though it smeared darker each time. "We're not doing this again," she whispered. "Reed, tell Stroud to stop it." But the order had already arrived. A runner, barely 18, stumbled into the trench, gasping. "Captain, Brigadier Stroud says second wave waits for the next whistle. 4 minutes." Reed grabbed the boy's arm. "Tell him the first wave didn't make it halfway." "I told him, sir," the runner swallowed, "and he said, and I quote, 'The attack must continue. General Thorne insists.'" Mora shut her eyes. Reed felt something inside his ribs fracture. They weren't soldiers anymore. They were arithmetic. Lives being spent like coins to purchase 8 minutes of distraction for a general far away from the bullets. 4:57 a.m. The second wave. The Dominion guns had not stopped firing. They'd simply slowed, conserving ammunition. They knew more targets were coming. Reed saw helmets moving behind the enemy's stones, saw fresh belts being fed into the guns, saw riflemen replacing broken barrels with chilling efficiency. The enemy wasn't scared. They weren't scrambling. They were ready. "Captain," Mora whispered, "if we send them up, we are killing them ourselves." Reed took in the faces of the second wave. 39 men. Private Yoren Hale, who had written a letter to his mother that morning and left it open because, "I'll finish it after the charge." Sergeant Dane Rolfe, who had sworn to retire and buy a bakery. Tall, timid Callan White, who had cried quietly the night before because he was only 17 and not supposed to be here. How many would still breathe in 5 minutes? The whistle was in Reed's hand, cold as bone. His throat locked. He couldn't raise it. Then another whistle, Stroud's, echoed sharply from the rear trench. The men froze. Mora's eyes widened. "That's the signal. He's blowing it himself." Stroud wasn't waiting for Reed's conscience. He had taken the choice from him. Reed's hand went numb as the second wave surged up and over the trench. "No! Stay down!" he shouted, but his voice was lost under the thunder of boots. The moment the second wave crested the ridge, Dominion machine guns unleashed a fresh torrent, faster, louder, more precise than the first. Yoren Hale collapsed mid-stride, letter still tucked in his breast pocket. Sergeant Dane Rolfe managed 6 steps before he folded, hands clutching a stomach wound. Callan White, poor kid, was thrown backward by a bullet that hit his chest plate. Then a second round found his neck. Mora's hands flew to her mouth. Reed felt his lungs shrink. The second wave lasted longer than the first, 49 seconds, only because some men tried crawling. It didn't matter. By the end, none reached the halfway rock. None reached anything at all. The mutiny that almost happened. Silence returned, cruel and heavy. Reed felt his hands trembling as he gripped the trench wall. He forced himself to breathe, slow and deep, though every breath felt like swallowing stones. Footsteps approached. Brigadier Stroud climbed into the trench, face pale, hands shaking as if he had aged 10 years in 5 minutes. He didn't look at the field. He couldn't. "Third wave prepares on my signal," he began. Reed stepped in front of him. "No," he said. Stroud blinked. "Captain Varone, that is an order." "And this," Reed said, voice low and trembling, "is suicide." Stroud clenched his jaw. "We only need them to occupy the enemy for 2 more minutes. The northern flank—" "I don't care about the northern flank," Reed snapped. He pointed at the ridge. "Those boys are dead. You killed 90 men in 5 minutes." Mora stepped beside him. "So did you, Brigadier. Don't hide behind Thorn. You gave the signal." Stroud's composure shattered. His voice cracked like glass. "You think I wanted this? You think I don't hear every bullet, every scream? This attack wasn't mine. It came from above. I follow orders same as you." Reed stared at him. "Not today," he said softly. For a moment, a dangerous, electric moment. It seemed like a mutiny would ignite right there in the trench. Then the air changed again. A heavy voice barked from behind. "Captain Varone, stand down." General Callan Thorn himself had arrived. Tall, stern, medals shining in the faint light, boots spotless, as if war dare not touch him. Reed stiffened. Mora glared openly. Thorn surveyed the field with a calm indifference that chilled even the stones. "We continue," he said. "Orders from High Command." "Sir," Reed struggled, staying respectful. "With all sincerity, High Command is not standing on this ridge. They do not see what we see." Thorn's eyes hardened. "That is why they make the decisions, and why you obey them. The third wave. The third wave was only 21 men, soldiers who'd already seen the first two massacres. Not a single one looked ready. Not a single one looked resigned. They looked empty, hollowed out, as if death would be a relief. Reed's hand trembled around the whistle. He didn't want to do it. He couldn't. But the guns behind him clicked. Thorne's personal guard had rifles raised. The message was clear. Blow the whistle or be court-martialed or shot. Reed met Mora's eyes. She shook her head once, slow, devastated. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The whistle rose. The third wave climbed. The Dominion guns, well-fed and merciless, opened fire once more. 21 men ran. 21 men fell. It took 26 seconds. The end of the ridge. When it was finally over, the battlefield was quiet. Too quiet. Not a living man remained on the saddle. The air hung with smoke and dust, swirling gently over the world like a dark curtain drawn over the dead. Reed lowered his whistle, hand limp, knees weak. Thorne gave a single nod, satisfied. "This was a successful diversion," he said. "The Northern assault reports breakthrough." Reed stared at him in disbelief. "Successful?" he whispered. "You called this successful?" Thorne did not answer. He simply turned and walked away. Stroud collapsed onto a crate, burying his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. Mora slid down beside Reed. "They'll never write about this," she murmured. "No one will ever know what happened on this ridge." Reed looked over the bodies. "They'll know," he said softly, "because we'll tell them." The sun finally crested the horizon, a pale, reluctant light spreading across the ridge of ashes. It illuminated everything the war had taken, everything command had thrown away, everything the world would try to forget. But the light could not erase the truth. Courage died here, not because the soldiers lacked it, but because their leaders did.